Well, thank you very much. I too would like to congratulate Korea, not so much for being 60, but for what Korea has achieved during those 60 years, which is indeed remarkable. The topic of what I would like to talk about actually is the relationship between economics and politics, which I think is a major subject. And what is going to happen in the next few years very much depends on how the mechanics of economics and politics develop. In fact, I have found, and I'm very happy about it, but I have found that the tone of our discussion since this morning is very optimistic, and I'm glad about it. However, I'm not sure that things will evolve in the nice way we all have in mind. In fact, if the crisis, if the financial and economic crisis deepens, we could be in deeper troubles, not only economically, but politically. And precisely because we want to avoid that, we have to look at it squarely. In fact, what has happened in the last few months has undermined trust in a very deep sense. It has undermined trust in market economy, and it has undermined trust in democracy. If you look at my country is France. Today, you know, France had made a lot of progress towards economic liberalism, but today the voices of the archaic socialists are very much being heard again. And this, you know, the criticism, the simplistic criticisms of market economy are now very vocal. The fact is that the market system in the financial system has collapsed entirely. It is the market which has collapsed. When supply and demand no longer meet together, something is basically wrong. And I think we should not also underestimate the distrust of democracy which is now spreading over the world. I organized a conference 2 weeks ago in Evian in France, which was attended by about 10 heads of states and government. And we heard the representative of the president of Mexico, who was telling us that democracy is receding. That is, the legitimacy of democracy is put into question more and more in Latin America. So the idea that democracy is necessarily gaining room in the world, this is just empirically wrong. And I think Francis Fukuyama is not in the room this afternoon, but I would say that what I call his equation of the end of history, of course his arguments are much more sophisticated, but you know, what the people have kept in their mind is what I call the equation of the end of history, something like this, you know, democracy plus market economy gives peace and prosperity. Unfortunately, this either is a tautology or is wrong. The problem is not that democracy plus market economy gives peace and prosperity. The problem is how do you get to democracy? How do you organize market economy properly? And of course, if everything works well, everything works well. That is, if the premises are okay, the conclusions are okay. But if democracy is difficult to reach, and if market economy does not work in certain circumstances, you do not have the benefits, peace and prosperity. And since precisely things have not been functioning well in the past few months, not to say years, what we are witnessing is the talk about return of protectionism, the possible returns of beggar thy neighbor policies, the kind of things that we have seen in the 30s. And beggar thy neighbor's policies can also be achieved through manipulation of exchange rates, which of course is extremely dangerous. And at the same time, politically, nationalism, nationalist forces. Look at what could happen in China. Suppose that the growth rate in China was cut by half. Today, you know, the legitimacy of the Communist Party in China relies entirely on the continuation of economic growth. And if they had a major economic crisis in China, there is no doubt, in my judgment, that we would have a huge wave of political nationalism in China with immense consequences.